Sci-fi loves to promise us dazzling futures and mind-bending technology. But sometimes, the biggest shock isn't the aliens, the spaceships, or the strange machines. It's the way the story flips in the final moments, ripping the ground out from under your feet. Have you ever sat through 2 hours of mystery, only to realize you never saw the real twist coming? Get ready, because these are 12 sci-fi movies that ended with such wild reveals, they left audiences stunned, confused, and whispering for years. The Village, 2004. At first glance, The Village feels like a period drama disguised as a spooky folktale. We're introduced to an isolated 19th century style community, tucked away in the middle of the woods, where people live in fear of mysterious creatures lurking just beyond the tree line. The atmosphere is thick with dread. Red is forbidden, strange noises haunt the night, and no one dares cross into the forbidden forest. For most of the film, you think you're watching a story about superstition and the clash between innocence and danger. But M. Night Shyamalan had something else up his sleeve. The film builds toward the moment when Ivy, the blind daughter of the village elder, braves the forest to find medicine for the man she loves. Along the way, the veil of myth starts to unravel. Those terrifying monsters? Nothing but elaborate costumes. And then comes the gut punch. When Ivy stumbles out of the woods, she finds herself not in the 19th century at all, but in modern America. The entire village has been a carefully constructed refuge, sealed off by wealthy founders who wanted to shield their families from the pain of the modern world. For audiences in 2004, this reveal was divisive. Some gasped at the audacity, others groaned that the rug pull was too much. But love it or hate it, nobody forgot it. The film wasn't just about monsters in the forest. It was about fear, control, and the lengths people go to in order to protect innocence. And that final reveal forces you to question, what's scarier, the unknown outside or the lies we tell to keep ourselves safe inside? Moon, 2009. Moon begins quietly, almost intimately. Sam Bell, played by Sam Rockwell, is the lone worker maintaining a mining station on the far side of the moon. His only company is a soothing AI assistant named Gertie. He's nearing the end of a 3-year contract and dreams of returning home to his wife and daughter. The solitude is heavy, but you feel his hope building as the finish line gets closer. That's when things start to unravel. After an accident outside the station, Sam discovers something that changes everything. There's another version of himself, alive, breathing, and just as confused. At first, the audience doesn't know what to make of it. Is he hallucinating? Is this some bizarre time trick? The shocking truth soon emerges. Sam isn't unique at all. He's one of many clones, each programmed to believe they're nearing the end of a contract before being quietly replaced. His memories of family are manufactured to keep him compliant. Every detail of his life was designed to give him purpose, and every version before him has lived and died under the same illusion. This twist lands like a thunderclap, because the movie isn't flashy about it. There are no space battles or explosions, just the quiet horror of a man realizing his entire existence was orchestrated. Critics hailed Moon as a smart throwback to cerebral 70s sci-fi, with a performance by Rockwell that was hauntingly human despite the inhuman circumstances. The ending doesn't just shock, it lingers. It asks whether identity is more than memories, and whether hope still matters even when it's built on a lie. Moon may be small in scale, but its finale is as vast and unsettling as the empty lunar sky. Coherence, 2013. Sometimes the wildest sci-fi doesn't need spaceships or aliens. It just needs one dinner party and a cosmic coincidence. Coherence starts like a small indie drama, a group of friends gathering for a casual evening meal. The wine flows, conversations spark, and old tensions simmer beneath the surface. But then a comet passes overhead and things get weird, fast. Phones lose signal, power flickers, and soon the friends notice something deeply unsettling. Across the street, in what should be another house, there's another version of their own dinner party happening. From there, the movie spirals into chaos. Doors open into alternate realities. Characters slip into other houses and return not quite the same. Trust fractures as the group realizes they're colliding with infinite versions of themselves. What starts as awkward banter turns into desperate paranoia, as each person questions whether the person sitting across from them is really the friend they knew, or an imposter from another branch of reality. The shocking ending lands like a knockout punch. M, one of the guests, decides to escape her fractured timeline by taking over the life of another M in a reality that feels more stable. She attacks her double, slips into her spot, and thinks she's succeeded. But just when she relaxes, her phone buzzes. The call? It's from herself. The cycle isn't broken. She's just another copy in a sea of endless copies. What makes Coherence's ending so effective is that it doesn't rely on spectacle, it relies on dread. You don't leave the movie asking how the comet works. You leave asking, if infinite versions of me exist, what makes me the real one? That final unanswered phone call lingers like an echo, reminding you that maybe we're all just one choice away from colliding with ourselves. The Others, 2001. On the surface, The Others feels like a classic haunted house story. Grace, played with icy intensity by Nicole Kidman, lives with her 2 children in a secluded mansion shrouded in fog. The house creaks, whispers echo, and strange presences seem to move in the shadows. The children suffer from a rare condition that makes them allergic to sunlight, forcing the family to live in near darkness, which only deepens the chilling atmosphere. From the start, the film seems tailor-made for a ghost story about spirits haunting the living. But Alejandro Amenabar's script has something much darker planned. Grace becomes increasingly convinced that the house is haunted, with mysterious intruders trying to torment her children. She clings to her faith, her rules, and her strict sense of order. Yet the clues pile up, whispers that don't make sense, visions that don't align, and encounters with strangers who act like they own the place. And then, the film drops its bombshell. Grace and her children aren't being haunted at all. They are the ghosts. The intruders are the living residents of the house. This reveal flipped the ghost genre on its head. Suddenly, every scene takes on tragic new meaning. Grace's desperation, her children's fears, the eerie silence of the home, it all becomes the sorrow of spirits who can't let go of their past. The ending doesn't scream with horror, it whispers with heartbreak. Audiences in 2001 walked out stunned, comparing it to The Sixth Sense, but recognizing it as its own haunting triumph. The Others shocked not with gore or spectacle, but with the quiet realization that the scariest thing wasn't the ghosts in the house, it was realizing you were the ghost all along. Timecrimes, 2007. Time travel stories often play with paradoxes, but Timecrimes goes for the jugular by turning those paradoxes into a trap. This Spanish sci-fi gem begins with Hector, an ordinary man who notices something strange, a figure wrapped in bandages, lurking in the woods near his home. Curious and unnerved, he investigates, and stumbles into a chain of events that sends him spiraling through time itself. After taking shelter in a nearby laboratory, Hector is accidentally sent back in time by an experimental machine. At first, he believes this gives him a chance to outsmart events, to fix what went wrong. But the more he interferes, the clearer it becomes that every action he takes only cements the loop further. The bandaged figure, that's him. The accidents and horrors he thought he was witnessing from outside, they're all his doing, caught in the trap of his own meddling. The shocking ending isn't a clean resolution, but the grim realization that Hector has sealed his fate. There's no escaping the loop. Every decision he makes to fix things only ensures that the events replay exactly as they must. The horror isn't just external, it's the slow dawning that the villain of the story is Hector himself. Timecrimes earned praise for its taut, low-budget intensity and clever writing. It doesn't rely on flashy effects to sell the shock. It relies on the suffocating dread of inevitability. When the credits roll, you don't feel relief. You feel the weight of the trap snapping shut. It's a masterclass in how a simple time travel premise can spiral into something deeply unnerving. The Forgotten, 2004. At first, The Forgotten looks like a straight-up emotional thriller. Julianne Moore plays Telly, a grieving mother mourning her young son who died in a plane crash. She clings to his memory, surrounding herself with photos, toys, and home videos. But one day, those photos start to vanish, the toys disappear, and people around her, including her own husband, insist that the boy never existed at all. Imagine the horror of being told your entire life as a parent is nothing more than a delusion. For much of the film, you think it's a psychological drama about grief and mental instability. Is Telly losing her mind? Is she imagining everything? But as the mystery deepens, the film takes a hard left turn. She's not crazy. Her memories are real. Her son was real. And the reason the world is gaslighting her isn't human at all. The shocking truth is that an otherworldly force is conducting an experiment, manipulating memories on a global scale. Telly becomes a stubborn glitch in their plan because her bond with her child is too strong to erase. The ending doesn't just reveal the twist, it hits with an emotional gut punch. Telly refuses to give up, defying the experiment itself, and through sheer determination forces her son's existence back into reality. What could have been a routine psychological thriller suddenly becomes a story about the endurance of memory and love against impossible odds. Critics were divided. Some thought the reveal was over the top, while others praised its audacity. But either way, audiences didn't forget it. The Forgotten earned its name by daring to ask, what if love is stronger than even the laws of reality? And when the credits rolled, viewers were left shaken by how quickly the story shifted from tragedy to defiance. Triangle, 2009. Few sci-fi thrillers trap their audience in a loop as mercilessly as Triangle. It begins with Jess, a single mother invited on a yacht trip with friends. The day starts sunny and calm, but soon a sudden storm capsizes their boat, leaving them stranded. They spot a mysterious ocean liner drifting silently in the distance, climb aboard seeking safety, and find nothing. The ship is deserted, eerily frozen in time. At first, the setting feels like a ghost story, but then the nightmare unfolds. Jess and her group are hunted by a masked figure who stalks them through the ship's corridors. When Jess finally unmasks the attacker, the reveal makes jaws drop. It's herself. And not just once. She's caught in a brutal time loop, reliving the same horrors over and over, each version of herself piling onto the last. The shocking ending doubles down on this sense of entrapment. After seemingly breaking free and washing up back on shore, Jess discovers she hasn't escaped at all. The cycle resets as she boards the yacht once more, doomed to repeat her fate endlessly. Triangle didn't make waves at the box office, but it quickly became a cult favorite among sci-fi fans who love puzzle box storytelling. Its finale isn't about escape or triumph. It's about inevitability, about being trapped in a nightmare of your own choices. By the time the credits roll, you're not asking whether Jess will break the cycle. You're realizing she never will. That's what makes Triangle's ending so unforgettable. It weaponizes the idea of hope, showing that some loops were never meant to be broken. Dark City, 1998. Long before The Matrix bent our minds, Dark City was already pulling the rug out from under sci-fi audiences. The movie opens with John Murdoch waking up in a bathtub, confused and disoriented, with no memory of who he is or how he got there. He stumbles through a shadowy city locked in perpetual night, chased by pale, menacing beings known only as the Strangers. At first, it feels like a noir detective story fused with gothic horror. But then, the revelations start piling up. The city's inhabitants share the same eerie gaps in memory. Time seems to shift strangely. And those strangers, they can alter reality itself, reshaping buildings and rewriting people's lives with a simple thought. The deeper John digs, the stranger it gets. The shocking ending tears the curtain wide open. The city isn't a real city at all. It's a giant artificial construct, floating in space, controlled by the Strangers as part of a cruel experiment. Humanity has been kidnapped, their identities rewritten again and again, like lab rats in a maze. But John, awakening to his true power, breaks free of their control and literally remakes the city. For audiences in 1998, this ending was both terrifying and liberating. Though overshadowed at the time by bigger blockbusters, Dark City earned cult status for its bold vision. Its finale forces you to ask unsettling questions. If your memories can be rewritten in an instant, what makes you real? What makes you you? The film's last act doesn't just shock, it rewrites the entire genre, paving the way for years of reality-bending sci-fi to come. Under the Skin, 2013. Under the Skin is one of those movies that creeps under your nerves and refuses to leave. Scarlett Johansson plays an alien in human disguise, prowling the streets of Scotland in a white van, luring lonely men with her beauty and charm. At first, the film plays almost like a surreal thriller. The men follow her, step willingly into a black void, and vanish. The imagery is strange, dreamlike, and unsettling. You know something is wrong, but you can't quite place it. As the story progresses, cracks begin to form in the alien's detached mask. she starts to hesitate. She begins to see humanity not as prey, but as something strangely beautiful. And that's when the shocking ending arrives. After abandoning her mission, she wanders into the wilderness and is attacked by a man who discovers her inhuman identity. In the final moments, her human skin peels away, revealing the black, featureless being beneath. It's a devastating moment, because the character who had started to find compassion is destroyed just as she seemed to connect with humanity. The ending left audiences stunned. This wasn't your typical alien story with laser battles or grand speeches. It was about identity, empathy, and the terrifying fragility of trying to be something you're not. Under the Skin divided critics, with some calling it pretentious, while others hailed it as a masterpiece. But no one could deny the impact of its haunting finale. It forces you to ask, what does it really mean to be human? And what does it cost to reach for that humanity if you'll never truly belong? Annihilation, 2018. Annihilation begins with the familiar trappings of a sci-fi mystery. A team of scientists entering a strange zone called the Shimmer, where biology mutates in surreal ways. Plants grow into human shapes, animals shift into monstrous hybrids, and time itself seems to lose meaning. At the center of it all lies a meteor impact site, pulsing with eerie energy. For much of the film, you think you're watching a survival story about brave explorers uncovering a strange phenomenon. But the shocking ending takes it to an entirely different level. Lena, played by Natalie Portman, reaches the lighthouse at the heart of the Shimmer, where she encounters something beyond comprehension. It doesn't attack her, it mirrors her, copying her every movement, every breath, every step. The sequence is hypnotic, terrifying, and strangely beautiful. In the final moments, the doppelganger collapses, consumed by fire, and the Shimmer disappears. Or so it seems. The film closes with Lena reunited with her husband, who had previously ventured into the Shimmer. But when she embraces him, his eyes shimmer with the same alien glow. And when he looks back at her, hers do too. The realization hits like a jolt. Did Lena truly escape? Or has she become part of the very phenomenon she tried to destroy? Annihilation's ending left audiences buzzing with theories, debates, and late-night rewatches. Was it about self-destruction, rebirth, or the inevitability of change? The ambiguity is the point. The Shimmer may be gone, but its echo lives on, in the unsettling eyes of two people who may not be who they once were. The 13th Floor, 1999. Released in the shadow of The Matrix, The 13th Floor didn't get the spotlight it deserved, but its ending packs one of the genre's most underrated shocks. The story follows Douglas Hall, a man who works in a tech company that has created an incredibly realistic virtual reality simulation of 1930s Los Angeles. Users can step inside, lives, and interact with characters who believe they're real. At first, it plays like a detective noir. Douglas investigates the mysterious death of his mentor while grappling with strange inconsistencies in the simulation. But the shocking twist reveals that the virtual world isn't the only simulation. Douglas's own reality is just another layer of the program, a more advanced level created by people from an even higher dimension. The characters we've been following aren't creators, they're creations. The final act reveals that Douglas's entire life has been the product of code, his memories fabricated, his world nothing but pixels in someone else's experiment. The film ends with Douglas escaping into the higher-level world, finally experiencing real reality, at least until you realize the movie leaves you questioning whether that world is real either. The 13th Floor may have been overlooked when it premiered, but in hindsight, it was years ahead of its time. Its ending leaves you spinning in circles, wondering how many layers of simulation reality might hold. If The Matrix made you question your world, The 13th Floor doubled down by asking, what if there's always another floor above? Predestination, 2014. Predestination isn't just a time travel movie, it's a time travel riddle, twisted tighter than almost any other in the genre. Ethan Hawke stars as a temporal agent tasked with stopping crimes before they happen. Along the way, he meets a young man who shares a story so unbelievable it seems impossible. But in this film, impossible is just the starting line. The story unfolds across decades, weaving paradoxes into paradoxes. The shocking ending reveals the ultimate loop. Every major character in the film is the same person, at different stages of life. The young man is the woman he once was. The agent is the older version of them both. The criminal he's been hunting? Also himself. The entire plot is a closed time loop, a snake eating its own tail, where every identity, every heartbreak, and every crime originates from the same source. The realization is devastating. This isn't a story about saving the world. It's about one person trapped in a fate so twisted they can't escape themselves. Predestination's ending doesn't just shock, it practically rewires your brain. It forces you to look back at every scene and see it in a new, darker light. Audiences walked out reeling, debating the paradox for days. Some found it ingenious, others called it too complex, but nobody forgot it. The film's ending is the ultimate time travel mic drop, reminding us that sometimes the scariest adversary isn't an alien or a monster, it's your own destiny, looping endlessly with no exit. So there you have it, 12 sci-fi films that didn't just end, they detonated. From looping nightmares to mind-bending paradoxes, these stories pulled the rug so hard that audiences were left buzzing long after the credits rolled. Which of these finales messed with your head the most? And which hidden gem did we miss? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, and subscribe for more deep dives into the strangest corners of cinema. Because in sci-fi, the ending is never really the end, it's the beginning of the questions.